Well, if your ride's broke down and looking sad, got a clunker car that's just plain bad, don't you fret, don't you worry, don't you sass. Just bring it on down to Chad's Whiskey Gas. He's Chad, he's wild, he's got the speed, fixing up rust buckets, planting a new seed in the Whiskey Gas garage. You know it's true, he'll get that old forgotten clunker feeling brand new.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Whiskey Gas Garage. I'm Chad Scott, I'm your host. So excited to be here today. We are in front of what used to be a Triumph TR7. So we've got her stripped down pretty good. I'm hoping that this episode will be the last sort of chainsaw, tire tool, grinder, sawzall, other saws, all the saws, demolition of this vehicle. Now, remember, if you haven't kept up, we bought a YUGO in Finland, Minnesota from the Polka King of Finland, Minnesota. And then we brought the YUGO back. We got it running and driving, not really driving, but running. Before we got it driving, the timing belt broke, interference motor, YUGO blows up. In the interim, we went down to Aurora, Colorado, gave $300 for our most watched episode about the 1978 Triumph TR7, that we paid $300 to help this girl get out of jail. Great story, go watch the episode. And so we've got that, and turns out the wheelbases are exactly the same. So let's just do a chassis swap. So we went out to the old interweb and we said, hey, YUGO people, would you do a chassis swap? And they said, hell no. And then we asked the Triumph people, would you do a chassis swap? They're like, no. So we're like, we're definitely doing it. So we're doing a chassis swap. We're going to put the YUGO body onto the Triumph chassis. Triumph 2-liter, rear-wheel drive, AC car, automatic. But the body was just terrible. You guys saw it. Underneath it had hit some things. It looks like perhaps a water buffalo, maybe a rhinoceros. Whatever it is, the chubby unicorn. I don't know. Whatever it is, it hit something. It was kind of torn up underneath. The quarters were bad. There was some rust. It was painted by a group of 6-year-olds with finger paint. There were issues. So that's what you see back behind me is all of the parts to that. If you're a Triumph guy and you need a hood, you need a condenser, you need you need a trunk lid, you need some of the interior parts, and you're willing to come to Colorado to get it. The bumpers, front and rear bumpers, are both in great shape. You need any of that stuff, you're willing to come to Northern Colorado to get it. I'm going to hold it till the end of August. Just drop it down in the page. I'll be happy to save it for you. Otherwise, it's going to the scrapper guy. We have a scrapper guy who comes around and takes scrapper guy stuff and does scrapper guy things and makes scrapper guy money for it. So it's going to scrapper guy. So all of that is going to happen. And so today what we got to do, we did an episode, some weeks back, Will It Run and Drive. We're probably going to do that episode again because let me tell you, there are like 5 wires left in this entire car. I left the wires to the starter, the solenoid. I'd be gonna have to run some jumpers over to the coil, jumpers to the clicky-clacky fuel pump that these TR7s came with. We're gonna see if we can get this thing back running. It's been up on blocks now for, I don't know, a month-ish. And we're gonna see what we can do to get it back running today. Still a lot to cut out of it. We gotta gotta loop the, I think I told you I cut one of the brake lines. Pretty exciting. We got to loop the old water jacket there so I can pull out all the condenser, all the stuff on the inside, the fan, all that crap's got to come out because I'm going to use the one from the YUGO. When we pull the body off the YUGO, we're going to take every bit of the wiring harness, the entire thing, and move it over at one time. So we're going to be having full YUGO wiring harness, including all of the fuses and everything will be YUGO. So that just because it's got to be better than Lucas, right? Definitely. So that's what we're going to do. We want you guys to hang in, hang out, and hang on. Let's see if we can get this. Triumph TR7. Or is it YUGO TR7? Or is it Triumph TR7? Or is it YUGO TR7? Oh, it's going to be a YUGO TR7. We're sitting in the Triumph TR7, kind of like if you were at a drive-in movie and you had a completely unobstructed view of what was going on. That's kind of what's happening here. So you can see from the inside, there's not much left in here. Now, there's really not hardly any wiring at all. We took the entire wiring harness and loom out. And if you know Lucas Electrical, you'll thank me later. Right there is the condenser, the fan, all the stuff, whatever makes air conditioning cold. That's part of it. All that's going to come out. We're actually adding an after factory air conditioner that's going to be pretty cool to this thing. And I just wanted to get in and give you guys kind of a look at where we're at. If you're wondering, so Chad, we see a lot of things at the Whiskey Gas Garage because we know you day drink. Why is there a rubber glove hanging from a brake line? Well, that's a brake line I cut out of the nose cone because they thought it was a great idea to put a brake line in the nose cone that went all the way around to the passenger front tire. I cut it, and rather than having it all drip out my fluid, I just zip tied a rubber glove on it and put it above the line there so it didn't leak out all my fluid. Now we do have a leak down here. This is our automatic transmission cooler that somebody has hit. It got hit by something. And so if you remember, this nose came out another 2.5 feet in the front of this, and that's where the AC sat and the fans and all that stuff. And we've cut all that off. We're going to cut that fender off there, kind of to match this fender over here, because we've got some very specific body lines that we have to hit for the old YUGO GV. Good value, good value. Maybe. You know why they have the rear window defroster on a YUGO? To keep your hands warm while you're pushing it. True story. So lots going on here. Lots of work still to do. Again, there's no wiring hardly in the motor at all. There's some loose wires that we just haven't cut out of it yet. But we've got to do that. We got to run some jumpers. We got to trim these panels down at some point. That'll come in when we're doing sort of our gentle work. What we have is we need a width of about 51 inches, and what we have is a width of about 56 inches. So we're going to be taking 3 inches out of these quarters and then kind of rolling these pillars in here on the A pillars. All that's got to come out. That's just in the way, and it'll be in the way when we go to set the firewall, because we're going to try to match this. We're keeping the firewall because all the pieces and parts are there. We'll likely switch out the steering wheel depending on what we have to do. Now you're saying, Chad, this is a two-seater. This is not a two-seater. Yeah, okay, YUGO people, prepare to cringe. You're going to have a two-seater YUGO. I'm keeping all this, number one, because it fits well in the body style. It's part of the unibody of the whole structure. And the gas tank is under there. And it's a 15.5 gallon gas tank, which is pretty good distance you can get out of this. So we'll be taking the back seat out. We'll be shortening this up by a foot in the back of the frame, and then filling all of that part in there with YUGO stuff. That's the gas filler neck. We'll be setting a filler neck a little higher on the YUGO to fill it up, so we won't be using the existing filler neck. So lots of good stuff happening here. And we're going to, like I said, today hopefully will be the last day where we're really cutting into it with big tools. Then it'll be, from then on, we'll be using smaller stuff to trim based on what we're going to have to take off the YUGO. And that's going to be a chore. So it's going to be exciting. You guys are going to have fun. And if not, it's going to make, one hell of a mess. And that's going to be fun too. But by the end of the day, by the end of the episode, I'd like to have this thing running again. Hell, I might even throw the tires on it. We built that new trailer for the R5, which we're taking down on the Poverty Tour on October 12th down to Duct Tape Drags to race. I think that I've been offered a race with an old Chevy van 350 that has a dry weight of 5,000 pounds. I think we're going to meet at the Walmart at midnight for a grudge match, because I'm not sure either one of us are going to pass tech. But remember, we're building this YUGO for Power Tour in June of 26, and then in September we're going to build this with a roll cage in mind, and then we're going to run it in 24 hours of lemons in Colorado in September of next year. So that was the whole idea behind building this monstrosity. But we are going to see if we can get it running, see if we can slap the wheels back on. it may still drive. I don't know. But if it drives, I'm going to stick it up on the trailer we built. We're going to take it to the old car wash. We're going to clean this engine up really, really good. Because if you're going to go this far with it, you may as well go all the way and get all the grease off the engine. The engine ran great before. We drove it, I don't know, 15 or 20 miles, 70 miles an hour. It did fine. We'll have to do a lot of work to get it back there in this episode. But that's the plan. So you guys stick with us. Let's see what we can get done here. All right, so we're back. Sorry about that 23-minute time lapse thing that wasn't really a time lapse because it didn't time lapse very well. Anyway, you got to see me doing my thing. I looked like I was waddling like a duck. I'm down. So we really haven't started this thing. I think we've bumped the starter maybe a time or two. We haven't started this thing really since we pulled it in the garage, put it up on blocks, and saw what it would do. So we did triple up the lines, got a little T in the lines. These Triumph, the shape of things to come, that was their big deal back in the 70s. And the reason they could get sort of that sleek look in the front is because they tilted, they slanted their motor 45 degrees so they could sleek down that hood line. And that's why it was the shape of things to come. And then, of course, it went out of business. So, but it's got a couple of different sides to the water jacket, so we had to put a T on. We cut the all of that stuff out of it, so all of your heater core, all that mess is gone. We cut it out. We used only the most delicate instruments. You saw us with our Pro bar. I almost got out the big spud bar. I thought that'd be overkill, but it would have looked awesome. And we're all about looking awesome. So we're gonna, gosh, there's only, I think there are 5 wires hooked up right now. We've got the solenoid, the starter, so positive and negative there. We got to do a positive lead here to the coil. We have a clicky clacky on this thing. And then I hooked up a switch that I tore out of the dash to go to the fan for the water so we can keep the water jacket temp under surveillance. So let me open the garage door in case it does actually start. Recalling that it's just been a month since we've even tried to start this thing. The battery looks good. Let me grab my charger just to see once we get it going. Get my meter to see. $4.98. Guess where I bought that? A whole bowl of freight. Get that to see once we get everything, if it's up and running. Let's check our battery to start with. Haven't tried it, haven't started it. 12.7 volts. I'd say that battery from 625 is holding up pretty darn good. So, all right, got something sparking and arcing. All right, so I've got a wire there that's just going to that fan. This is going down to energize the coil. All right, I hear fuel. And if you notice, we filled up our water here. After we tied in our lines, we lost some antifreeze. We also checked our oil, right on the money. We know that our transmission is leaking at the transmission cooler lines, which are up here. That's okay. We checked it. It was still warm cold. I mean, it was still full on cold. So now we're just going to hit our old button here and gotta guess see what happens. So I hear the fuel pump is kicking on. I don't think it stops. I don't know. We're just going to see what happens. Remember the solenoid drags, so it may take a while to get it moving. You are kidding me! Okay. You guys go back to the Run and Drive episode, so you'll know I'm not just blowing sunshine up your skirt. This thing took forever to start. The solenoid drug, and then finally it engaged. We get in here after a month, and it turns right over. I'm not touching it. It's idling on its own. There are literally 5 wires. Literally 5 wires left in this car. I take it back. The wiring I didn't mess with going from the alternator back up to charge the battery, so that's all still there too. Got just a little bit of a shake in it. Let's give it a little bit of gas. See if we can smooth that out just a touch. Remember, these are 2 barrel Zenith Stromberg downdraft cars. And they're kind of built on that, a little bit on that Weber design, or Weber is built on the Zenith design, but they've been around a long time. Feels like about 700 RPM. We'll see what happens. Just give it a little gas. Alright, I wonder if it's charging. .7 to 16 volts. A little high. Probably okay. Maybe need a voltage regulator. Wow. Oh, shoot. Looking back here. Let's take a walk around here. Didn't realize it looking back here. Parallel air transmission's working. I know that I pulled the stick down to get the all that garbage out of the middle there, so transmission's working. It's a lonely tailpipe. So apparently it will go forward. So run and drive, I don't know if it'll drive. There's so much of it missing. That'll be a gamble. Let's see here, let's see if it... Oh, that's still some sort of drive function. Still some sort of drive function. I'm gonna set it down in low. I'm gonna go with that's neutral-ish. All right, so it doesn't want to go into something. Is that really reverse, or is that, no, that's... It goes in the drive functions. So we'll just have to figure that out. And it may be some linkage that we've accidentally screwed with, or sounds like she's getting just a little bit weak on fuel. And to be honest, I think we have fuel in it on the run and drive. I think we put 5 gallons in it. All right, the fan is now doing fan things. Let's check the old temperature of the grill. So 128.3 sort of there at the valve train. Water jacket, still at 95. Thermostat's still nice and cool. And I'm gonna run along. I like to check it a little bit everywhere, just to make sure we don't have any hot spots. .7. You'll notice all of that air conditioning stuff is gone. We knew the condenser had been wrecked underneath it. Turns out the compressor had some bad lines and was locked up. Well, we got a special surprise on how we're going to do that. A little warmer up here as it should be. Of course, that should be 500 degrees. I'm sure it'll get there. Good at the intake. Water temp is good. We'll remove the heater core. That's kind of what you'd expect. .89 there. primary, secondary. So you have a single barrel for your primary and a secondary here, which is why you're going to see those difference in temps. Which I now have my foot in it, so that front downdraft is not engaging. So it's not going to be as warm. One more time through here. Alternator, alternating at 102 degrees. Well, she sounds pretty good. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm happy with what's going on here. Like I said, we do have a leak down here, and we'll get that whipped off at least to see if we can't. I don't know. Drive it? You think this will drive? I gotta get that brake line repaired there before we do anything. Don't want to hit the brakes. Wheels still spinning. I don't know if that's, again, I don't know if it's in neutral or that's just where it's at. I think it's in neutral. And that's just the positive spin. Again, not much wiring left in there. And I know I've got a constant 12 volts to the coil there. I've got a constant 12 volts to the clicky-clacky fuel pump, and the damn thing started. So there we are. That's what we've got going on. Y'all hang in, hang out, hang on. We'll kind of see where do we go from here. I expected this to take a lot longer. It wasn't one push of the button and the damn thing's running. That's not what I expected at all. It's holding temp. I'll continue to monitor that, check all the fluids. Going to put some more transmission fluid, see if we can get rid of that clacking sound in it and get it up into park, and we'll go from there. All right, y'all, hang in. All right, welcome back. So a little good news here. Number one, I actually did a time lapse that went faster than lasts in wintertime. So we thought we thought there was a problem with the trans cooler, and the fact is that the lines were just loose. They connected to that trans cooler, probably loosened. There's been some impact. Clearly, the fins are kind of wonky, but the lines were loose. Buttoned them up, started it back up. Had absolutely no leaking. Of course, we know we cut one of our lines, and of course I don't have it. It's a 5/16 line with a 1 metric fine thread ends on both sides, which I just don't keep that. I keep quarter. I even keep 3/16. I don't keep 5/16. So we've got a line on order, but what I was able to do is go down to the old Home Depot. And let me warn you, Berthoud, Colorado, bodaciously small town. But we do have two parts stores. We got an O'Reilly's and we got a Napa. Neither one of them carry 5/16 line and can get it. And neither one has a metric plug. So I did the next best thing. I went to True Value Hardware. And True Value Hardware had the metric nut that I needed. Not tapered, not crazy, but we got it in right here. Put a couple of spacers on it and a couple of copper crush washers. Fill back up the reservoir, and we got all kinds of pedal. So I don't know if that means we're going to move it or what we're going to do next, but at least that happened. So we got a little bit of cleanup to do on aisle 2 here. I got to get that radiator juice there cleaned up. We've got a little break now. So I don't know. Do we just put tires on this thing? So what I would really like to do, what I'd like to see happen, is I'd like to put this on the trailer, drive it up on the trailer, because clearly it's very drivable. It's got a lot of Smokey and the Bandit kind of vibes to it. Hold my hat, Junior. So it's got that thing going on. So we might try that now that we've got brakes. We're not going to have a front right brake. Doesn't matter. We're not taking it up big miles an hour. But so let's do a little bit of cleanup on it, figure out what the next steps are, and see where we go from here. Right there for this episode. As you can see, we've incurred a bunch of rain here in Berthoud, Colorado. Trailer, my son's Firebird, the wifey's Bronco, the Thunder Chicken, the R5, the Excursion, and the Whiskey Gas Garden. All getting a little wet right now, which is good. We can use the rain. So I think we'll leave her there for this week, and then next week we'll, my goal is to drive it on the trailer. We saw it goes forward, it goes backward, it doesn't make that grinding sound anymore when you put it in park, probably because it likes to have the foot on the brake. Looks like it's going to steer, it's going to run. Let's see if it's going to stay cool. Looks like it's staying cool everywhere. I know, I overcheck the temperature, but I don't have any gauges right now. I will have before next week. We'll try to have everything put in just so we got a little bit of a cluster while we're doing the changeover. And then these should be 5,000 degrees. All right. I believe we're going to be all right. I believe it's going to hang in with the, again, going to the coil, going to the electric fan, going to the fuel pump. That red wire is a mystery, no idea. It's that extra wire that I just couldn't bring myself to cut, and then ground. And everything else is doing what it should do. All right, guys, thank you so much. We appreciate you watching the channel. And I wanted to thank my buddy Tim next door, who brought over a bending tool for our brake lines when they come in tomorrow, and a flaring tool so when we get our ends and our 3/16 brake line, 3/16 brake line tomorrow, we should be good to go on getting these brakes set. So y'all hang in, hang out, hang on. We'll see you next time around.
Well, if your ride's broke down and looking sad, got a clunker car, it's just plain bad. Don't you fret, don't you worry, don't you sass. Just bring it on down to Chad's Whiskey Gas. He's chatty